I am 85 years old. I have watched my husband die slowly in the bedroom down the hall. I have buried my mother, my father, and two of my closest friends. I have survived things that would break most people, but none of that prepared me for what my own daughter was planning to do to me. I want you to understand something before I start. I am not confused. I am not senile. I am not the kind of old woman your mind pictures when it imagines someone being fooled. I raised 4 children. I managed a household on $40 a week when we first came to this country. I balanced the books for my husband's fabric shop on Reseda Boulevard for 31 years. I know numbers. I know people. I know when something is wrong, but love makes you blind. That is the one thing I could not have told you before this happened to me. Love makes you absolutely, completely, dangerously blind. My name is Fatima, and today I am going to tell you something I have not yet said out loud. Not to my son in New Jersey. Not to my neighbor Margaret, who has been checking on me every Thursday for 7 years. Not even to God, because I am still too ashamed. What I am about to share with you. This is the truth about what happens when the person you trust the most uses that trust as a weapon against you. I came to this country in 1972. My husband Karim and I arrived with 2 suitcases, $400, and nothing else. We did not speak English perfectly. We did not know anyone in Los Angeles. We slept on a borrowed mattress in the back room of a cousin's apartment in Glendale for 4 months while Kareem looked for work. I want you to understand what it means to build a life from nothing, not from a little, not from struggle, from nothing. We worked, we saved, we had children, we bought a house in 1979 on Margate Street in Reseda, a 3-bedroom with a yard that needed work and a kitchen that smelled like old pipe when the heat came on. But it was our own hands, with money we earned, not money we borrowed from anyone. Kareem passed away in 2018. Pancreatic cancer. It moved very fast, 4 months from diagnosis to the end. He died in that house on Margate Street, in our bedroom, in the bed we had slept in together for 39 years. And when he was gone, I was alone for the first time in my adult life. My children called more often for a while. My son Tariq in New Jersey, my other daughter Rima in Houston, my youngest, who is barely in touch at all. But it was Nadia, my middle daughter, 43 years old, always a little restless, always in between things. It was Nadia who said, "Mama, I am coming to stay with you." And I cried when she said it. I actually cried because I was lonely. There is no dignity in admitting this, but I was lonely in a way that is very hard to describe unless you have lived it. When you go from 46 years of sharing a life with someone to absolute silence, the house changes. The walls feel different. The evenings are very long. So Nadia moved into the guest bedroom in early 2019, the room where I used to keep Kareem's old suitcases and boxes of photographs, and for the first 6 months, it was good. She cooked sometimes. She drove me to my doctor appointments. I see Dr. Farouk on Topanga Canyon. Lovely man, very serious glasses. She was there in the evenings. There was noise in the house again. I told Margaret, my neighbor across the street, I told her God sent Nadia to me. That is how happy I was. But here is the part that haunts me to this day. I started noticing things, small things, the kind of things that are easy to dismiss if you love someone. In early 2020, Nadia started taking my phone when I left the room. She said she was checking my settings. She started coming with me to the bank, the teller, a young woman with a green scarf. I still remember her. She seemed hesitant one afternoon. She kept looking at Nadia and then looking at me. I smiled at her because I thought nothing of it. Now I understand what she was seeing. Nadia started writing things down. This is what I want you to hear very clearly. She started writing things down. Every time I forgot where I put my reading glasses, every time I could not remember a word immediately and paused mid-sentence, every time I asked her to repeat something because the television was too loud, she was writing these things in a small black notebook with a green cover, I thought. She was journaling. She had always been the kind of person who wrote things. I did not ask. I did not want to seem suspicious of my own daughter. I know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking I would have noticed. I would have known. That is exactly what I thought too. At 40, at 60, at 75. I am not the kind of person who gets fooled. You are exactly the kind of person who gets fooled because you trust the people you love, because love and suspicion cannot exist in the same room. Nadia knew that, and she used it. And then came the day I could not ignore it anymore. It was a Tuesday morning in February 2021. I remember it was Tuesday because Margaret brings her recycling bins in on Tuesdays, and I always watch from the window when I have my tea. I had my tea. The bins came in. Normal morning. Nadia had left early. She said to run errands. I went into the kitchen to wash my cup, and I saw it on the counter. A clipboard. She had left it face down, but the edge of the papers were visible. A corner of typed text. Something made me reach for it. I do not know what. Some animal instinct. The kind your body activates before your mind catches up. I turned it over. There were 5 pages, printed very neatly. The top of the first page said Behavioral and Cognitive Incident Log. My name, my date of birth, my address on Margate Street. Below that, a table. Dates going back to June 2020, column headers, date, incident, witnesses, severity, and then the entries. June 14th, 2020. Subject left stove burner on for 40 minutes after making tea. Moderate. August 3rd, 2020. Subject could not recall neighbor's last name during conversation. Called her Margaret from across. Moderate. November 11th, 2020. Subject confused Thursday appointment with Friday. Mild. January 28th, 2021. Subject misplaced reading glasses 3 times in one day. Moderate. 47 entries. 8 months of documentation. My own daughter had been building a legal case against me since the summer of 2020, while I was making her dinner, while I was grateful she was there, while I was telling Margaret that God had sent her. I stood in my kitchen on Margate Street and I felt the floor move. Not because I was dizzy, because the entire understanding I had of my life for the past 2 years rearranged itself in about 30 seconds. Every moment she had been in this house was different now. Every conversation, every dinner, the way she watched me when I set the table, the way she followed me to the car, the way she came into the kitchen after I had already been there. She was not caring for me, she was cataloging me. I have to tell you what the plan was, because I have since learned from a lawyer named Mr. Hosseini, who spent 2 hours on the phone with me and did not charge me. This is more common than you know. What Nadia was building toward is called involuntary guardianship. You gather evidence that a parent is mentally incompetent. You file a petition with the court. A judge reviews it. In many cases, the parent is not notified until it is nearly finished, and once guardianship is established, the guardian, the child, has legal authority over everything: medical decisions, financial decisions, the house, the house. The house that Kareem and I bought in 1979, the house that smelled like old pipe in the kitchen that first winter, the house where we brought all 4 children home from the hospital, the house where Kareem died. That house, under guardianship, could be sold by Nadia without my consent, the proceeds managed by her, my care. This is legal. This is happening to people all over this country. I know now there was a woman in Pennsylvania whose daughter sold her house for $86,000, a house worth much more, while she was in a nursing home and could do nothing. I know there was a woman in New York who came home from the hospital to find the locks changed on her own door. I was 68 days away from Nadia having enough documentation to file. I found out later. Her notebook had a second section, a checklist. Item number 7 was checked sufficient incident log for petition. Item 8 was not yet checked attorney consultation. Filing date, 68 days. I know what some of you are thinking right now. There must be another side. Maybe she was genuinely worried. Maybe she just wanted to help. I thought this. I sat with this for 4 days before I could think clearly again. But I also found the second document on the clipboard, a real estate comparable market analysis, printed from Zillow. 3 houses on my street that had sold in the past year, with my address circled in blue pen, and a handwritten note in Nadia's handwriting at the bottom. It said, net after nursing placement and fees, approx $480K. She had already calculated how much money she would have after she put me away. I'm going to say that one more time slowly, so it settles somewhere. She had already calculated how much money she would have after she put me away. I called my son Tariq in New Jersey that evening. I told him everything. He was quiet for a very long time. Then he said, Mama, are you safe right now? And that was the moment I understood how serious it was. When my own child asked me if I was safe in my own house. I am still in this house on Margate Street. Nadia left 3 days after I found the clipboard. She packed a bag and 3 boxes while I sat in the living room and watched. She did not apologize. She said, Mama, you don't understand how hard it has been. And then she closed the door behind her. I have not spoken to my daughter in 4 years. I still have her phone number in my contacts. Her name is still there with a little photo, a photo from 2017, before any of this. She is smiling. She looks like my Nadia. I do not call it. But here is what I want to say to you, not to you as someone listening to a sad old woman's story. I want to say this to you as someone who loves someone, as a son, as a daughter, as someone who will be old one day. There are 3 things I want you to hear. The first is this: the people who hurt you when you are old will not look like villains. They will look like the ones who showed up. They will look like the ones who were there. Nadia did not seem dangerous. Nadia seemed loving. She seemed devoted. She brought soup. The most dangerous people in the world to an elderly person are the ones who are presents, because presence itself feels like proof of love. It is not proof of love. Presence is not love. Go look at the ones who show up for you and ask yourself, truly ask, why they are there, what they get from being there. Because sometimes the answer is not what you want to hear. The second thing I want to say is this: your mind is not as private as you think it is. Every small lapse you have, every moment you forget, stumble, repeat yourself, lose track, someone nearby can document that. And if someone wanted to build a case that you are mentally incompetent, they could probably do it in 8 months, maybe 6. You are not as protected by your own clarity as you believe you are. This is not me being dramatic. This is me telling you what the law actually allows. The third thing, and this is the one I most want to say, is about loneliness, because that is really where this story begins. I was lonely, terribly, achingly lonely. And my loneliness made me grateful for something I should have been careful about. Loneliness is the most dangerous vulnerability an old person has, not physical weakness, not memory. Loneliness, because it makes you desperately want to believe that whoever shows up loves you. Do not let your loneliness make the decisions for you, not for who lives in your house, not for who manages your money, not for who drives you to the doctor, not for who sits with you in the evenings. The people who should be in that role should have earned it over decades, not volunteered for it when it became convenient for them. There is a difference. Please learn to see it before you are standing in a kitchen holding a clipboard about yourself. I still live in the house on Margate Street. I am still here. I still have my tea by the window on Tuesday mornings and watch Margaret bring her recycling bins in. Last month, Dr. Star Farouk looked at my chart and said, "Mrs. Fatima, cognitive function is completely intact, sharp as a tack." And I looked at him and I said, "Yes, I know." I changed all my accounts. I have a lawyer now. Mr. Hosseini's office on Ventura Boulevard, 3rd floor. You can see the mountains on a clear day. I have a new will. I have a document called a durable power of attorney that names Tariq, and Tariq alone. And I have this house, still mine, still on Margate Street. But I want to be honest with you about something I have not been able to say until right now. Some nights I miss her. Not the Nadia from 2021 with the clipboard. the Nadia from before, the girl who used to fall asleep watching television with her head on my shoulder, the one who called me from college every single Sunday without fail because she said Sundays felt too long without my voice. That Nadia, I do not know where she went. I'm still looking for her when I see that photo in my phone. I am not going to tell you to call your parents. I am not going to tell you to be kind to old people. You have heard all of that before, and it has not changed anything. I am going to tell you something specific and simple. If there is an elderly person in your life, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, go look at who has their ear right now. Go look at who showed up recently and is suddenly very helpful and very present and very interested in their finances and their health. Look carefully. Ask a question or two, because if something is happening, it will look exactly like love. It will look exactly like love. And if you are the elderly one watching this, if you are the one sitting in a quiet house, grateful for whoever is there, please get your own lawyer, one that you paid for and you called. Get your own accounts. Keep your own mail. Keep your own mind sharp by never, ever letting anyone tell you that you are confused when you are not. And make sure your important papers are somewhere that no one else can find on a Tuesday morning when you are watching the neighbor bring in the recycling bins. Go call your son. Go call your daughter, the real one, the one who doesn't need anything from you. Tell them what house you live in and whose name is on the deed. And if this story made you feel something real today, share it, because there is a woman somewhere right now falling asleep grateful that her daughter moved in. And maybe she needs to hear this first. I am 85 years old. I am still here, and this house is still mine.